Yo. Oh, actually, you can't even see me because I put the wrong input in. But you can see CannaDave right now. Look at CannaDave hitting that gas mask. What's going on, everybody? How's everyone dabbing out there? I got to get some stuff fixed on my end so you can see me in my ugly mug. That's why CannaDave gets that going. Look at him. That's hilarious. Well, anyways, yeah. Hey, welcome for joining us on Terp Talk. You gotta say that.
Thank you for joining us on Terp Talk Tuesday today. Today we got a special guest with us.
Yeah, which you saw him because I accidentally gave you his camera.
Andy, lead vendor from Canna Brands, who we just released an episode with in the past couple weeks ago. Thanks for joining us on Terp Talk today, Andy.
Yep. Oh, I brought up your mic now. So yeah, no, honestly, today's gonna be a fun topic. We thought we started talking about how different cannabis has been to you when you came in and when we came in, and like how we look at concentrates differently, and honestly, just kind of sparked this huge conversation where we want to talk about how perspective shifts and just cannabis throughout the decades.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna be a good conversation because before we were talking about going into dabs and things like that, and you were saying, man, you just started dabbing recently. While we've been dabbing since probably when dabs became more mainstream back in like 2011, 2012, before like they used to do the knife hits off of the stove and stuff like that. We're talking like glass and then the torch and going.
And please let us know how you're enjoying cannabis in the comments.
Oh yeah, as always, let us know how you're smoking, how you're dabbing.
What's up, T-Dub? How's it going?
How you're consuming cannabis tonight. So
yeah, definitely have to start off with a bang.
Yeah, my first dabs I remember doing were probably about 2015-ish, and it was people like making it themselves. It was all just real kind of super sketchy. Didn't really touch it again until I started bud tending. At that point, like I needed to know it. So I picked up a Puffco because I'm from the generation where if you're using a blowtorch to smoke something, it's probably crack.
Right.
Also, like it seemed like just more risky, like just having something super hot around, something else to break, especially with my dogs and stuff.
Makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, the Puffco is super portable, super easy, and it's been on from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's been dabbing with that Puffco now for about a month now, right?
Yeah,
it's gotta be almost a month. If not, it's like 3 weeks. But
yeah,
it's got me to the point where I think I'm about to get one. Just
I think
because
he got it the week after we recorded our episode because we had talked about it.
I think so. It was right around that time.
Yeah, no, I mean, I really dig it. Honestly, like there's a lot of parts that, I mean, I think we're like a learning curve, like getting used to it. Like you said, like not being able to reheat it and use it in different types of ways. But I mean, once you get used to it, I really do like it. And as far as concentrate goes, it's really nice having the exact same temperature every time. You know, that's something I never knew how much I really appreciated until, I got this thing. So it is sweet.
It's very handy, man.
Yeah, no, I love it. So
I like it because you're not, you don't like you say, you don't have to use a torch. You're getting the perfect temp, which it's either going to be between whatever your settings are, 450, 500, 550. And that's for any of the e-nails and stuff like that. If you can get the temp on it, like that's perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, because even using the nail, unless you're using like some sort of infrared thermometer, even if you have the closest thing you can get with your timings.
Right.
You don't know what your temperature's at.
Not fully, no.
Yeah.
No, I mean, and I'm assuming electronic and the device is probably a lot closer to that than up to the laser and you going at it, for the temperature.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we're going to talk about what we're dabbing here? Kind of like one of the dabs up? Yeah. So we're doing some rosin today.
Yes, we officially have something from Canna
Boys.
Oh,
shout out.
This is Canna Boys rosin made from Canna Boys McFly flower.
Bada bing, bada boom. I actually don't have all my dabbers. I got a backup one. And thank you everyone for sharing this, commenting, liking, all that stuff. And T-Dub, we see you dabbing on that lemon.
I'm excited. This is rosin you're saying, and you might have just said the strain. I might have been blanking. What was the strain?
McFly.
McFly. And what are the crosses of that?
Georgia Pie and Mac.
Okay.
It smells amazing. Look at that. Nice looking rosin. Hell yeah. But okay, so let's get into our first topic here, so I can like get these dabs up, and we're not just staring at me getting this dab up. So, when did you first try cannabis? And does anyone have a funny story? So you mentioned beforehand that you did have a funny story trying cannabis for your first time, and when was it? Because it sounded like you are a decade before us. So your whole perspective in this conversation, and then everyone in the comments, like what we're hoping is kind of to see how different it was starting your cannabis journey.
Yeah, so I'm staring down the barrel of 40. Like I'm
from the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago.
I just realized we weren't on Instagram. Now we are. Go ahead.
So yeah, I'm staring down the barrel of 40. Right. I'll be 37 this year. I started back in 97, maybe 98. I had a cousin who was 5 years older than me. I was hanging out with him and his friends all summer. It's kind of like their little mascot running around, just like rabble rousing, whatever with them. Mm-hmm. And they had finally got me to agree to smoke with them because I grew up in like the Dare years. Did you guys have Dare?
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely had the Dare.
Yep. So like it was always that reefer madness shit just beat into your head from the time you were a kid.
I didn't smoke weed until my senior year of high school. I hit it twice, and then after that, college I did. So yeah, the Dare hit me pretty good. I thought it was bad.
Yeah.
I think it hit everyone. Like there was like
everyone
the fear
did
of God
think that. Oh yeah, everyone did. I mean, there was a lot of people out there. Like, I mean, I did. I mean, I was a kid. I bought into it. I mean, I was 5th grade, but like I bought into it, you know.
But it was also like they played the slippery slope so bad. Like first you're going to take one hit of weed, and then you're going to be like shooting heroin, and then you're going to be dead in the gutter.
Right,
like
pretty much.
That's how they treat it, right?
And that was like the speech they gave to every kid. So it was like nope. And then it was the 1 year anniversary of my grandmother dying. I was finally like, fuck it, cool. And I smoked with him and his friends, and it was terrible. Like the weed itself was good, but like, you know, you go to spray cologne on for the first time and you don't realize like it's aerosol cologne. So you're just like high as balls and you're just like, psh, oh God. And he's just like, Jesus Christ, you're going to get us caught. So we go back to his house with my mom and his mom, and we had to run to the video store back in the days where there were video stores where you would rent videos and take them back. Right. And so we had to go take
What's
them back.
that? No, I'm just kidding. Right. I know that. I did that.
I know the family. I love Family Video. So.
And it was actually, we were going to the first Family Video at like 9 in DeQuinder from Hazel Park.
Nice.
And I remember just like spazzing out, be like, dude, you're going too fast. Because everything looked like, you know, you're in the Millennium Falcon and the lines on the road are going by like warp speed. And he's like, dude, we're going 30. But again, I was like 13. Like... And now I look back and I was like, oh my God, I was so dumb.
That's what happens. That perception, oh my God, by the way, phenomenal. That taste is phenomenal. Shout out, Canna Boys. I mean, legacy brands. Again, we've been talking about them forever, so this is nice to try some of their rosin.
Superior genetics, superior care.
Yeah, 100%.
Word, but, and, sorry, I didn't mean to digress there, but like, it's funny that you say genetics. That, like, about like your, what did you just say about the first time you smoked bud? How'd you just end that story? I lost it.
That I was in a car freaking out because
you smoked it when you were 13. Like, and it's funny. It's always the same exact experience. It doesn't matter what age. Shit just slows down.
And I had like a year of like shutting him down on it because of the Dare training.
The Dare training.
Nixed it. No.
That's so funny.
My first time.
It was yours like.
I think we talked about it. Mine was I spring break, and then one time with my aunt. R.I.P. my aunt. But we smoked.
So how old were you?
I was about 17.
Okay. I feel like that's important because like
17, 2008,
as opposed to high school. Like,
and it was Reggie's. Like we didn't smoke any Dro or any Kush probably until like late 2009. I would say early 2010. I would still say 2009. We were talking about this before. I'd have to go 2009.
I'll never forget my first. Wow. You know what though? That's kind of, you know what? I was just about to say I'll never forget my first time smoking bud, but I'm having a hard time remembering my first time smoking bud, to be completely honest. Like,
you smoked away your memories, Groovy. Like,
the thing is I can't remember. I'm pretty sure my first time smoking weed was like a bowl with at a party. And I'm trying to, it's been so long. Is that the first time? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the first time. So I was at a bowl. Oh, that was the first time I got high. That's right, because a bowl got passed around at a party, and I smoked it. And I'll never forget looking at the stars. I wasn't driving. It was just some kid that I like kind of talked to, and I was like, man, this is wild, because I'll never forget. It felt like you have tracers, because you pretty much think you're on mushrooms at that age, But I was just into college, so I was 18, because that might have been before I bought that quarter. So that's true, because I don't think that's true, because I don't think we were homies at the point when I first smoked weed. I think I smoked weed at some parties. We might have rekindled our friendship by that point. See, that's what I'm saying. It's hard to remember when my first time I smoked weed, but I remember the first time I got high. I'll never forget the first time I got high. Actually, for some reason, I don't think that was the first time I smoked bud.
No, I remember the one time. I think I've mentioned it on here when we all got high. That was one time I really got high. Allegedly, we drove.
Right.
We drove, cut over 6 lanes into a speedway to get snacks.
Jeez. Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, that was not good.
That was. Jesus.
It was what was it? Oh my gosh, right at 50, not 59. It was at that intersection, MLK. No man,
I don't remember.
Wild times, allegedly.
But really good flower didn't start coming around until
what's going on, Wade?
Almost out of college, so 2000, probably 6, 7, 8, and it only came around every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Most of it was still just half shitty brickweed.
Dude, 100%.
And you were happy with it because that you had weed.
You're like, hey, maybe I might get a little lighter green this time. It might not be as brown.
Oh my god! Right. The fact that we smoked brown weed. Can you really think about that?
Or do you remember how many seeds were in whatever you got?
Yeah, good amount. Good amount. You were grateful for it. I remember you'd smoke, but the worst thing though is you'd smoke 2 joints, 3 joints, and then you'd get you just get that bad headache. You're like,
Yeah, and then it was probably maybe a year before the medicinal laws kicked in, was where you started to see more quality flower coming around more regularly.
That makes sense, and that's why 2009, 2010 would probably be right around there, because we passed it in 2008. People probably went straight to growing right then, because I got my license, or my...
So wasn't that close? You started smoking bud to when you got your card? Or when you started growing? Was that close?
It would be. But my first grows were so bad. They were so bad. They were, what's it called? Dro. I did Dro for my first grow. Horrible. Multiple bad experiences with it. Kept stuck it out, so. But we're about to spark up some Galactic Runts, and then I want to dab some of that McFly as well.
Yeah, for sure. Let me hand it to you.
I know. Yeah, if you can dab me up, I got this lit.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to just do it yourself? Okay.
Here, I'll take it.
Yeah, I see.
We're smoking some Galactic Runts, and then we are dabbing on some McFly rosin.
Yeah.
Which is by Cannabis, which will be out in the probably coming weeks, months. Nope. Cool.
Hopefully months. Because, honestly, that's test wash. That's prototype rosin.
Nice. Smells great. It's got a nice fruity, I would say almost like a citrus, lemony type of smell to it.
It's kind of that earthy-ish from Mac with a little bit of the sweet citrusy from the Georgia Pie.
I can dig that. I hear that. Yeah. I hear that. You know what? As we're talking about this, when was the first time y'all tried concentrates? Because, to me, that's a whole nother story. Because, to me, that's another one. I don't remember the first time. I remember the first time I got lit off them, though. I don't know. I don't know if it was the first time I ever smoked them. So. I'm trying.
My first time on concentrates, I can't.
I do, because I thought it was with you. It was just ironic, because it was actually with, you and your ex, and she had sure. But you had this stuff. You had it was like black tar. I remember, because it was black. Remember, because she was like, "This is concentrate." I was like, "What's a concentrate?" Because she's like, "Oh, you heat it up like this," and I'm like, "Oh, like hash," because you used to put hash in the puck. She's like, "No, you do it through a dab rig." I'm like, "What?" It's the whole thing, and I heard the word banger for the first time. I'm like, what? The nail. I'm like, because I remember it was titanium, and I sweat so hard. I was almost throwing up. I take it off my hoodie. I took off my shirt. I was laying on your floor. I'm surprised you don't remember.
No, I do remember.
You don't remember? I don't.
As you're saying the story, it's coming back.
I would say
vividly.
I was done. I was like sweating profusely, like, and obviously it's probably because that was mostly butane in there.
Dude, my first time, not my first time, but one of my probably one hit that I remember would be something like that, where I hit it and like I literally was like dying. But that was when it was filled with.
I legitimately passed out on my first real dab, but I think part of that was the dude who I was smoking with was kind of a D-bag and overloaded me, and it was too hot. So I I couldn't catch my breath. I went out and I hit his knee with my face on the way to the floor because he didn't catch me.
Jeez.
So I woke up on the floor, my head hurt. I'm like, who fucking sucker punched me? Because that was the only thing that made sense, was that somebody came through and just jacked me. And then I did 2 more dabs and went and saw Interstellar and IMAX, and that was the thing.
Well, the reason why I like dabs though right away though was because like you would take such a little, and still to this day is when you take a little bit and
it'll get you.
It gets you. That's so flavorful. That literally tastes. I'm telling you, it's like a citrus lemon, like tasty as heck, man.
Yeah, there's that little bit of earthy at the end.
Yeah, dude. But yeah, well, that was the first time I got stoned off concentrate. Do you remember the first time you tried or got stoned off concentrate? Anyone in the comments, let us know, please, for sure.
Man, concentrates have came pretty far within the last decade. You think about it, 2012. I think Colorado back in the day used to have like a concentrate cup that they celebrated in July. I don't know if they still do it. It was like on 7/10. And I think 2011, 2012, we're in year 2022 now. Concentrates have come from that black tar sap to now looking into something like this, which is rosin. Like the only thing you ever heard of hash rosin or hash, like bubble hash, was from Nick T. And we had him on like last year. And he was talking about washing it and doing the bags and doing all that. That and like the rosin and then the butane like pretty much changed the game within concentrates after everyone started learning how to purge it and do it correctly, like, and not using their third run and having it be like filled with
Lizzie's saying that it hasn't been until 4 years ago, so people are trying like recently, and T-Dub saying 2010 was his first tab full of butane made of someone's garbage. Yeah, exactly. And Trash City.
So you have so many people who are scared off because they hear the stories from back then of people who had it ruined. Like, oh, I did it once and it was garbage and blah, 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 blah. And fast forward 10 years, it's not what they tried.
Right. No, not at all.
It's a completely different monster.
100%. 100%. Concentrates have changed a lot in the past decade, the past 10 years. Like,
they've changed a lot in the past 2 years, 3 years.
I mean, think about even that. I mean, think about within the last 20 years, they're barely even around.
Well, no, I wouldn't say concentrates were even around in the
Well, I mean, I'd still think of like hash and stuff as a concentrate.
The thing is, when we talk, well, I guess that's true. So there was concentrates, but not like what we're talking, not what I'm talking about.
Right. Where we're getting to like,
but
the shatters, the hash
but
rosin.
A lot of it was so dark and it was so impure, and now even your BHO is high quality, like Petro. It's always that light yellow to golden amber. Like it looks so much better. It smells so much better. It's so much better. Like
it brings out the terps and the flavors. Pass out the Groovee.
Oh, he was busy.
Oh, dude, I'm always busy with this computer and all the tech errors. But no, what was I gonna say? I was thrown off. But Christmas 2019. Oh, hey, what's up, Nickel? What's this up? Concentrated on penny pen. Yeah, okay. First time it was on a Puffco. Interesting. So that was your first time you took a dab was on a Puffco. That's fascinating to me because, like, I'm so used to the old school banger. So I mean, concentrates have been around only a decade. So that's relatively new. But like. Flower, some people will swear by, and I wish Dave Cobb was in the comments right now because,
dude,
see, we talked about this but some people will argue that flower hasn't changed that much. It just depends on who you got it from. You know what I'm saying?
There's been so much genetic breeding. Like everything has gotten stronger. Like, you don't have the botanists from the 70s. You didn't have the kind of botany you have now. You don't have the grows you have now. You don't have the nutrients. Like, everything in our grow is running at like peak performance, like Ivan Drago and Rocky 4. Like, but it's measured out like that. It's got those timer. Like, I'm sure there was some fire back in the day, but the way things are done now, everything, if you look at like the average or the mean from what it would have been, I would say there has to be a difference.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That makes
I hear
sense.
that.
Because even just the time since I've started, it's definitely gotten stronger. There's more variety. Like,
Oh, I remember when I was working as a bud tender, it was just crumble or shatter. That was it. And now that you got like, so I was like, whoa, high moment. You got like sauce and diamonds. You got your rosin. You got your hash rosin. You have live resin. Like, you have all these different options now within the
well, even
concentrate.
with flour. Like, do you remember the first time finding flour with like crystals and like the bright hairs and like what we would generally find in general dispo weed now? Like, that didn't really start coming around until the last probably 15 years, give or take.
Right, that's true.
And when you look at those things show higher concentrations of THC, terpenes, everything that contributes to your high. It wouldn't be an illogical step to think that just in that time frame it's changed. So looking at a longer time frame, it probably would have changed more.
That's
Makes
true.
sense.
I
That
mean,
makes
I wish we had someone in the comments that could be like, I smoked weed 50 years ago. You know what I mean? Because weed has like, I mean, again, depending on your cultivator, right? The quality of cannabis could have been different, but I feel like with technology and the amount of automation and like the information that's out there on nutrients, like you can just go watch YouTubes, you can go check out podcasts, you can do all these types of things to learn how to grow now. Like, if you didn't know someone who grew good bud back in the day, you didn't know there was good bud, right? You know what I mean? It's the same thing with us. Like, we didn't know till we were getting shit from California, you know, allegedly. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But
What you talking about?
yeah, what? Canada's like, what? I barely know this guy. I don't even know. Why is this shit? What?
I don't even know why I'm here.
And like, that's the big thing, is like, how good was it? Depends on like how much weed you like back then. Depends on what you knew, right? What was around you, you know. And that's why how much like I was fine with regs until I wasn't. You know what I'm saying?
Well, regs were great because that's what we got introduced to, and you're like, oh, this is great. Like we were saying, it's like no matter what it was, if it was dark brown, light green, you just enjoyed what you had. You were able to smoke. Like people growing smoking in the 70s, they're probably smoking a lot of that.
Right. For
Maybe
sure.
you did have like your landrace strains that people were smoking. So like your Thai, which we've heard a lot about.
That's true.
You have Durban Poison. I don't think, right? And then you have Hindu Kush.
Yeah, I mean, it was like when it was named after the land race around
Right.
them,
I'm probably messing up a bunch of them right now, but like, yeah, I don't know. I do think if you see photos, to me, some of the bud looks great now compared to probably back in the day. So,
and we have like Lizzie's coming, T-Dub's coming, Nicole, like everyone's like everyone is saying it's changed a lot, especially with the smell. So I'm saying, like Nicole just said, everything smells like skunk. That's a good point, because everything did used to smell more similar unless you had access to this random like other strains, right?
skunk was good.
Back when indica and sativa really mattered, because you had like Thai, indica, sativa, and like that's it, right? Like, I don't know, like weed has changed, the whole smell has changed. Like I mean, think about the flavor we just tried. That flavor wasn't around. You know what I mean? So,
well, everything's going now for like a sweet, fruity cereal milk like type of taste nowadays. I feel like you're getting, it's not as like, you have the GMO, which is great. That's bringing that gas back, but you don't have a lot of that skunk around no more. In my opinion, you don't see it. Like, I smoked a lot of skunk back in the day. Like,
Everything had some sort of skunk to it.
like some.
But I also remember just like you went to your guy and you got a bag of weed. You didn't know what it was. Like, you didn't know who grew it. You didn't know what country it might have come from.
that's true. You really didn't know what it was unless you trusted that person.
And every once in a while, you'd be like, hey, I got the Reggies or I got the Fire. And it was like 30 or 15/8. Those were your picks. You didn't know anything about it. You just know this one looked better, smelled better. It's probably going to get you higher, give you less of a headache.
And a lot of that, I bet, I think we thought it was Dro too, because there's a lot of Dro going around too.
That's true. That's
a lot
true.
of Dro before the Kush.
Well, and honestly, like we thought Dro was like a better weed, but it really wasn't. It was just how it was grown. It was the same. It was back. It's just like how the whole indica sativa thing. People like base everything off indica sativa, and I'm like, sure, that's a good guide, right? But if you don't tune in like what smoke really like works with you and your appetite versus your sleep, like you just smoke the same shit all the time. I don't know if it really like all hits the same. You know what I'm saying? It starts to.
Like, Dro was just slang for fire back then, too.
Right, that's what I was saying.
So, yeah, it was interchangeable with, whatever was superior quality.
Well, speaking of the decades, too, it's like, imagine picking up now compared to what it was 10 years ago. Before you had to have a medical card here in Michigan to go get weed, and if you were inside Michigan, depending on your state laws, 20 years ago, you had, obviously, all of it was black market. Now, people 21 and up can just walk into a shop and purchase cannabis, like which is great. We're going in that direction. It's just thinking about that. It's just crazy, Like we haven't experienced that.
Right.
This generation coming up is going to be the first generation in Michigan to not grow up as felons.
Yeah, that is crazy. I mean, my sister's 10 years younger than me, and she told me like I remember when I was talking to her, and she's like, I really don't remember weed being that illegal, and I was like, whoa. Like, yeah, but I mean, but she wasn't really involved. I mean, it's not even that. I think it was more like her experience, right? She never smoked, really. It wasn't like her thing. But also, like, she didn't grow up with, like you said, like growing up with a fear of being a felon. Right. When she turned 21, you could just go buy it, So, right. Like, she's only 22, I think. Whatever, 20. I don't know. Whatever. I can't remember.
That's good.
It's crazy to think this generation is not even going to understand the perspective of 30, 40 years ago, people. Right. They're not even going to understand, what do you mean you went to jail over smoking weed? Right. Especially now, think about a kid that's just about to smoke weed for the first time in New York. They can smoke weed outside.
I think smoke weed next to a cop in some areas.
Like, could you imagine going to smoke weed outside?
Like, I wouldn't be able to. Like, my butthole wouldn't unpucker. Like,
I'd be so scared.
It wouldn't happen.
I could probably say I would, but I probably wouldn't. I'd be like over there smoking. Like, hey, there's a cop right there. Like we were in Vegas when there was like, oh, there's a cop down there. Yeah, we're smoking. Other than that, allegedly,
still freaking out.
Yeah, it would be instinctual for me to walk the other direction.
But it's like, yeah. I'll literally, avoid at all costs. Like, not worth it. I'm not there. Like,
yeah, that's a real path of least resistance thing for me. Like, too many bad experiences. I'm not going to risk another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, and that's why I even talk about locking up your stuff. Like, I don't know if I'll ever not lock up my stuff. I know it's okay. I just don't think I'm going to because, it's not in my wheelhouse of comfort.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're just going with that extra layer.
Because when I like you said, because when I started smoking, you could get in real trouble with that. Like like that sucks.
Well, yeah, if you didn't have it locked up back when it was just medical, that could be.
Yeah, it made a major difference.
You had to have it locked up. That was part of the law. Which,
I remember like having to like hide my shit from like Central cops when I was up there because it was Central Western weekend, and they were just going around looking at apartments, like making sure there weren't too many people in a specific apartment because they were trying to cut down on partying. And there was like, it was like my grinder or something was on the table, and we saw them walking and like people like sliding it with their feet and like getting it like around. It was like Catch Me If You Can to get it to somebody, to get it in a drawer before the cop got to our window. And like just the ridiculousness of what that would have been over 3 grams that might have been in the grinder.
Dude, that's crazy. Well, and that is the difference. Like you said, like, I mean, now I can roll with an ounce in my trunk now without even an issue.
Anyone 21 up can go with
two and a half. But I'm just saying, like, the fear difference. Like, could you imagine starting smoking weed right now compared to when you started smoking weed?
You're spoiled. Look at all the strains you're getting to pick from.
Oh, my
God.
Look
at all the varieties you get to pick from.
But I thought we were spoiled, man. Because what we had was, we were in some people's perspective.
But the kicker is, though, some of the prices, though, they are getting price gouged on some of the product that isn't as good. Like,
the street
price was the street price. Like, whatever you were getting, like you said. Sometimes you're getting that fire freaking cheap price. What?
T-Dub, comment of the motherfucking year goes to T-Dub. He got me. He says, how many dabs did Kilo hit? Because he's out. That's, that had me dying. I'm so sorry. That hit me. Damn, that was
none. No. Yeah.
Literally both times I've been here,
Secondhand
as soon as I sit down, Kilo jumps up here, it sits in
He
my
just
lap,
chills.
and goes to sleep for the rest of the episode.
He was just in REM sleep actually like 5 minutes ago. I
He
think
was
kicking.
kind of barking a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, Kilo, too funny.
That's funny. Oh, yeah.
He hasn't actually been on camera in a minute, so he's like, welcome back. I'm back.
Oh, what's going on, Nick? What's going on? Oh, that's funny. So Lizzie just said, you just hoped you weren't being sold oregano and cross your fingers, because that's true. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
Times are changing, and it's great to see it, the progression going that way. We just need more stuff to happen, like safe banking needs to happen.
But then I've been cussed out because someone found one seed in a nug in their dispo weed.
I would actually be happy with it. I'll take it. Whatever.
And
I'll take the genetics. You can just store it for backup. You never know what's going to happen.
It's amazing how that perspective's changed. Like,
Right.
Yeah, people do complain though. I remember when I was working, people complain about it. Like, it's seedy. I don't know. It's gonna be that seedy. Well,
right.
Like, I literally had someone like bitch me out over one seed. And it was like, man, they missed one. Like, come on. It's not really taking away any weight. Like, I get it. It's dispo weed, but sometimes it happens.
it's a plant. Sometimes it could just develop as it's growing. You know,
Right.
And it's all right if it's just one. Like,
And when it's in a big bud, how do you call for that?
All right, that's true.
people are picky though nowadays.
First
so
world problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the question really is, like, I just want to say this because Nicole just mentioned like that in 91 she had some cannabis that matches up to today's bud, and I think that, like, you know, like I said, you find some random grower that was just really good at their craft, then you might have had some bud that was good as nowadays. But for that, it's just like what we're seeing now with the legal market and all these giant companies that don't know and don't care about cannabis the same way the caregiver market legacy. That's the word I was looking for. I was like, Jesus, I just said it earlier. Like, you know, and that's why maybe getting stronger isn't the best way. But has it got better? You know, do you feel like cannabis has gotten better? Because to me, I think cannabis as a whole has got better. But I think it is all relative. You know what I mean?
I think the concentrate market's got a lot better compared
that,
to when
yeah,
we first
concentrate.
started dabbing, because like that was some of the worst stuff. I'm glad we didn't dab that stuff long, and we realized that stuff was like horrible. It was like a couple times.
Destroying our lungs, no big deal.
It wasn't that long. It was like once, twice. And you're like, okay, no, there's better stuff, but you can find it. It's not that bad. It's like, what?
I showed you the video of the Biff grow,
Yeah.
and you saw the McFly flower that we're growing.
Yeah, that's that rosin right here.
Would that have been around in the 70s? I'm sure somebody might have had something that might have been there, but would what the average person was smoking be better than what we see on average in dispensaries today? That's the most fair way to judge it.
Okay.
Like, there's going to be outliers. Like, I would say
100%.
that our flower is an outlier for what we have today.
Mm-hmm.
But on average, yeah. Like, when you went from headaches every day from whatever Reggie's or oregano that you might have gotten.
Oh.
Like,
What's
I'm
up, Dewey
sure we all
Decimal?
got.
What's up,
I'm
fam?
sure we all got burned once. Like,
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's funny. Someone said Indo was dank weed, but it was just indoor grown weed.
Yeah.
You know, I would say that weed consumed and grown indoors is right. Nowadays, yes, depending on the region, right? Another side of time, tech is allowed to grow perfect plants out of the sun, right? And that's
Like
the
that.
big thing is
I like
right,
that.
because the sun will always be like the most cost efficient way. And honestly, some people will argue that it's better. It's because it is more natural, right? You get a different type of spectrum. But let's be honest here. Being in Michigan, we don't get to grow that often outside. Like, you know what I mean? If you're lucky, you get one season. And if you mess up that crop, you're screwed. So indoor has really taken it up. And that's why I love the terms indo, dro. It's just someone had really good weed and someone was like, hey, it's dro weed. Because some grower was like, it's hydroponic weed. And just like carried, you know? It's the same thing with Kush. Like, what does Kush mean? It's a strain. It's a type of weed, isn't it? Like, that's all I know it as. Like, but people used to say, so you said, people like, oh, that's that Kush.
yeah, that just
just like a
slang
term.
for fire.
Yeah. And what's up, Brenda?
It's that good stuff. That good.
Yeah. So
It definitely, I would have to agree. I would assume that it's the product of flower has changed through the decades. Because I feel like people are also with technology and people are getting with their lights. You can have the perfect light spectrum for veg going into flowering. You can have optimal grow environments nowadays, and you
That's
can maybe
true.
be able to get the best out of your plant. But I also do think you can get some great outdoor buds. I'm not gonna knock outdoor bud, completely. I think
No,
you can get some great outdoor bud. That's
with the advancement in technology, you have the advancement in agriculture in general.
right.
You know, this is agriculture, is it not?
Yeah, no, 100%. No, 100%.
Like, I would love to have a time machine to go back into like the 70s and find some of like what the best flower would have been for that time.
No, I hear that. Well, because here's the thing: is like
that would be kind of cool.
cannabis.
Right.
Back when I first smoked weed, it was some bullshit regs. I mean, I didn't smoke good weed my first time, but I got lit. I remember I was like staring at the star, I was like, whoa. Like, I feel like I don't even get that stoned now. So I feel like that's what's kind of interesting about cannabis is, yeah, flower gets better and terps get better and all this, but it's like still some perspective of that psychoactive thing. There's nothing like that
the
first couple times.
yeah,
You know what I
no,
mean? It's same
100%.
thing with any
Right. Mind altering substance.
Yes, that's what I was trying to say. It. Yeah, I was gonna say it a little differently, but it's the same thing. You know what I mean? And that's the beautiful thing about cannabis is that's like it's got that psychoactive part, even though it's not like super strong the way like an LSD or a mushroom is. Where it can be overpowering. You can be like, whoa. You can kind of snap out of reality. But anyways, so I guess we're saying it has got better as a whole, just not really, just like I'm sure there is some person out there that's like no. Because, like I said, we had someone in the comments legit say it, and that's why I wanted to talk about it, because I feel like people have tried other things. Cannabis.
I
We
guarantee
got
there's
some
definitely
good.
people still that are believing the 70s bud is a lot still better than today's stuff. Guaranteed.
Yeah, when we
100%.
talk THC percentages and bag appeal,
That's
like,
not a bad
it's
thing.
definitely changed a lot.
I would say bag appeal for sure, because like in photos, when you look at some of it, it
That's
looks
true.
like it's just nothing. But like, I don't know.
And see, when you say bag appeal, I was like, yeah, we've come a long way from like folded up Ziplocs, like
Yeah, measuring the weed by like your fingers and stuff.
the hand scales where you needed the nickel to make sure that it was 5 grams.
Yeah, no,
Or
I remember.
just eyeballed it. Nah, perfect, got it.
Jeez, I remember because I remember the first buds.
Allegedly.
I thought your bud was supposed to have seeds in it.
Well, yeah, seeds and stems. Like, yeah, don't forget the stems. They would sometimes just throw full. You just get
Oh my
full
God.
stems in
Yeah,
the eighth
dude,
or like
no
the quarter.
joke.
You just get like what? That count?
You know what? Here's a good question. What was like the worst smoke or worst bud you've ever what was your worst cannabis experience? I guess I don't know. I guess most people will probably be like the time I got arrested, but like I hope not. And that's what's fucked up. You know what I mean? You could smoke a joint back and then get arrested. But do you have any like bad experiences? Because I remember I'm gonna start out with mine.
Before we go with the bad
yeah.
experiences,
Let's give them a shout out.
Yeah. Let's just go right into our sponsors real quick.
Do it. Give them a shout out.
So, shout out to our sponsors. We'll kick it off with Winewood Organics. They are out in Ann Arbor. It is a micro business. Everything is done in-house, from the flower to the production of the oils to the production of the hash, edibles, concentrates. If you check them out, your first time visit, you can receive 35% off. Just mention Micannacast, and they will hook you up. Also, if you're looking to try any new CBD products or looking to try some CBDs, we are working with Nino's Naturals, and their website is ninosnaturalcbd.com. Mention MyCanna15 at checkout, and you receive 15% off your order. And there's also free shipping as well.
Yeah, definitely check them out.
50 if it's
I
over
mean
50
that
bucks,
the
I believe.
CBD, they have night stuff, they have stuff for your gut.
shipping,
It's all
over
sort of
50
stuff,
bucks.
and then plus 15% off. So
Yep.
it'll really make a big difference.
Yeah. And shout out to them because we
Support that local MI.
Yep.
That's famous.
much love for believing in us.
Yeah,
Thank you,
absolutely.
guys.
And same thing with the microbiz. I gotta say, I love those carts. Don't get me wrong, definitely try all their stuff. They've got they got good products. But if you love supporting that local energy, check them out. Ann Arbor's first micro business. So definitely. But like I was saying, like my worst cannabis experience was when we got that stuff from Mount. I don't know if you were on what came with me for the journey, but I remember you smoked it. It was in that like upstairs thing, that part. What is that house we would smoke in? The old frat house days, like that carriage house, the carriage house.
Oh yeah, the carriage house.
Right. So we'd smoke in the carriage house, and we got some weed from Mount Clemens that I like. You know, this is what I was saying. Like, this is something that people nowadays that smoke weed aren't even gonna understand. But I got weed from a friend's friend, right? Like, so it was my friend that introduced me to a guy, right? That ended up showing up with another guy that I didn't know, and he was like, "Get in the car with us." I was like,
in Mount
so
Clemens.
I'm like, "You're right." So just like, okay, I'll just get in this random dude's car. Like, first off, great. So I'm getting in this dude's car. I get in this car.
You're gonna be thinking, all right, I need
we
to get
want
my
weed. I had to get
exactly.
Well, I was the one getting weed. I had to get the weed, right?
So was it in like the?
It was supposed to be some really good weed. Guess what? It wasn't good weed.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. I didn't know Mount Clemens. You know, I still barely know. I mean, I like my girl's family's in there. Like I got family in Mount Clemens, kind of. Like I don't like, hang out in Mount Clemens though. I never like partied in Mount Clemens, maybe a handful of times, right? But anyways, so we go there. I get this like Rego looking bud that had pink gum looking stuff in it. Do you remember this?
Yes.
All right.
Bubble
cool.
gum.
So I'm really and he called it bubble gum Kush because we're jackasses and apparently we bought
Anything
that.
with Kush on it, we're cool Kush. Bubble gum.
And it was because they put bubble gum on it.
Yeah. Well,
no,
I didn't. We didn't really know.
So.
We smelled like bubble gum, but it was like in the center. Like you didn't see it when you saw it. Like when we broke it up. But the thing is, it wasn't like your normal gum. It it wasn't gum. It was pink, but it had like crystals on it. And to this day, I'm pretty sure because of how messed up we got that was PCP or something like that.
Because that bubble gum.
We got lit. I mean, we were goofy type of high too, and like it wasn't like man like. Don't picture like a whole eighth of just like pink shit, right? It was a little bit of pink shit with like sprinkles of like these crusty. So we don't know what was in it, but like, I don't know. That was my worst weed experience because, like I said, you sketch, then you're sketch again, now you're sketch again, and now it's like, oh my god, what did I buy? I already spent the money. Like, remember, I'm in like people's I don't know car. What am I gonna do? Not buy the bud after I go to this random house? Like, yeah, no, I'm gonna give you whatever money you asked for. And
right, because now I'm just trying to get home safe.
Right. I didn't give a shit. I didn't know what was gonna happen. And I didn't know.
That was the only weed we had too at the time. So
right, because I
smoked because you had to wait.
Oh, it was a group of us. There was like 6 of us that all hit it. I was not alone in this journey. So, but that was like that's what I was trying to say. Like back in the day when we first started smoking, back in the day, 20 years ago, whatever, 10, 15 years ago, it was really sketch just getting your bud. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's a lot safer now. Which is good.
My god! I mean, that's what we all forget. And that's what we're paying. That's another thing that we're paying for. I know what the upcharge of the dispo is, but the advantage about the upcharge of the dispo is I don't gotta go find some sketchy shit and smoke some shit that might be okay. It might be cannabis.
It might be PCP. Like you might have got more than you paid for, sir.
Got more than I bargained for sure.
Possibly.
But yeah, it's that
definitely
safety.
wasn't no bubble gum.
It's that
what
quality.
Up, Rich?
How's it going, it's being able to see it before you buy it.
It is. And now everything's got like the actual names. The growers are taking care of the genetics and they want that actual genetic of that name out there. So it's not just going to be like, yeah, this is, I don't know, Pop-Tart Kush. Kind of hungry right now.
Well, when I was
for a Pop-Tart? That's what you're hungry for? Hold on.
No,
Side note.
I don't know, man.
Anyways, go ahead.
I'm not going to talk shit. I like Pop-Tart.
I saw that I dislike Pop. I was like, that's what you're craving out of all the food in the world. You're like, I want a Pop-Tart.
Dude, what do you, I don't know.
I guess I am hating a little bit. But.
I go for a steak. Let me call it Steak Kush. I don't know. I thought Pop-Tart Kush sounded good. So what? Thought about it for a second. I was like, all right, I'm going to roll with it. Pop-Tart Kush.
Yeah, honestly.
No, I am kind of hungry.
Got a good comment, too. Someone asked, when did we switch from baggies to jars? I don't know. I still kind of haven't because I still use those like grow bags, and stuff.
I use the Grove bags, but I also think the brand started going to jars back when like 18. They started putting them in on the medical shops. Like that's what. Well,
and then when you convinced me that the bag was taking off trichomes, so I was like ruining my butt every time I moved the bag. To be fair,
Cannabis was one of the first companies to go to jars in Michigan.
Oh, really?
On the med market.
Fancy attention.
You'll still have people who talk about having the Mac 1 or the dinosaur food jars from back in the day.
In dinosaur food, we reviewed that about a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years ago now.
I mean, I think I switched to like the jars and the containers when the med market came because remember we got them early, but I remember going to the dispos and that's where the first couple I got bags. Like you got bags at first, but eventually you started getting the containers. Like, oh, these are cool. no way did I feel like they were eventually going to be super wasteful. But like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that is one thing.
but that's when I first started getting containers. I remember it was at this dispensary in Waterford that was like kitty corner to a smoke shop. And I won't throw them under the bus just in case that shit was shady. I don't really know. But that was the first time I got like containers like for free. And I was like, these are sweet. And I started reusing them because they had a system is like you could bring them back every like 8 or 9 containers that you proved, and you'd bring 9 back and you'd get like a free gram or something. I forget, it was some shit like that. But I thought that was the sweetest thing. And I don't know if it was a kind of a flawed system because you just buy like 9 grams, you got free gram, but you had to buy eighths. But that was kind of their trick too, is if you bought eighths, then it would take longer. But that's when I first started getting like the plastic. Like,
you remember getting grams of like Kush or Joe for like 0.08 and 0.06? It was never like straight grams sometimes back in the day.
Depending on your relationship with your guy. Like, if you were friends.
Depending on the person. Well, I don't even think it was friends. I think it was more like depending on the people.
Well, there's like, I had my guy, like, I was delivering food in college for a restaurant. I'd go after work, and we'd just like hang out for a few hours. So, like, when I got my shit, I always knew that I always got like 0.1 over.
Right.
Like, it also helped that he waited in front of me because I guess there is some honor amongst felons back in the day.
Guess,
like,
right?
It's good, man.
But it was good business. Like,
it is.
Like the ultimate small business. Like,
hey, it was a business that was around. It's still around.
I mean, it was like, we can't pretend like it wasn't. You know what I mean? Obviously, it's how we got here.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, like 100%.
But that was also the first guy I remember having multiple strains regularly. Like,
well, that's true. That was new for a time, right?
Well, because like around then too, a lot of brands started branding their product and putting their names on specific ones. Because
I'm still talking to the black market only.
Oh, I was going okay.
Like, he was one of the first people I remember going over, and he had 2 or 3 strains, but 25, 35, 45.
Mm-hmm. Variety.
And that was right at the cusp, right before medical hit. So, what was your first like dispensary experience?
Mine was like, I talk about this specific spot all the time, but the first dispensary I ever went to was, again, another place in Waterford. That was, I would say, probably the most like crazy experience I ever had and ever will have. I think getting to a dispensary, because it was still felt like it was super shady, and that's why I was like, man, I'm buying cannabis like legally. It doesn't feel it. But then I remember, because you had to like write down your name every time you went in, like a check-in. I was like, I don't like this. This is really uncomfortable. Because like, I don't want to put my name anywhere, especially back then. But I'd go to this. Oh, there's my pops.
What's up, Pops?
Call him back. What was I about to say? So you go to this like industrial area, like kind of more like I wouldn't say like warehouse types, but almost like. You could almost like where people would hold like shipping things, or like, I don't know, industrial park type of thing, like smaller things, but many of them. Drive all the way back, all black door, all tinted. You'd have to knock. They'd have a camera, and then you'd buzz in. No, there's no like marks that it's a dispensary yet. Besides that, it smells like weed once you open the door.
Right.
No, but besides that, there was nothing. And then once you get in, there's like, whoa, really like heady, like older lady that I think was just a caregiver or someone who grew bud, right? And that's it. And that's how it was back in the day. And even at that dispensary, they only had a couple edibles, 5
when was that?
strains.
Like 2010, 2011?
2010, yeah. Probably. Yeah, probably.
You got to comment when that was.
2010, yeah, it was probably 2010. And what was sketch about it too is they were like, not sketch, but at the time they were so forward thinking on consumption lounges. They let you, like, they're like, hey, if you want, you can chill and watch a movie. They had like a couch with movies, and like in the back, and then you could like play ping pong and all this type of shit. And I was like, this is crazy. Right, and that was my first dispensary experience.
That's kind of dope.
Yeah, it really was, because it was so forward thinking, but like looking back, like that never came to fruition.
I mean, we still don't have consumption lounges yet.
Yeah.
Yet.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah,
well, yeah, Hazel Park, shout out, but
we might have some soon, which will be great. So that'd be kind of cool. It'd be cool.
Yeah, and that was a long time ago, Sean. Like, I mean, that was so long ago when Waterford had that. Like, so long. Like,
I always only remember going to Detroit.
Oh, I mean, they all got raided. Like, they all got raided, because there was one by 3 doors down. There was one over there. Again, this was 2000. It had to be 2010. Like it was so early when we got 2011 because it was just when I got my card because I was like, or when I first got the card and I was like, you know, like I said back then, you know, like back then I just got the card. Got the card out of fear, you know, because it was so illegal back then. You're scared.
I remember getting.
But then
my
even
card
walking
the
into
first
the
time.
dispensary
safe.
scared.
But no matter what you did with cannabis, you felt like you could get arrested.
But
So that's like how you protected yourself. You know?
Now, like, I walk into dispensaries every day.
Right,
Like,
yeah,
high
that's
fives
true.
with the security guard.
Yeah.
Even back then, walking into a dispensary, you were scared that you were still going to get arrested, even though you were doing it legally.
That's true.
Like I hope they don't get raided while I'm here. Don't get raided while I'm here. Like, you don't have that anymore.
Yeah, that's
Like,
true.
there's none of that anxiety.
Yeah, that stuff gives me anxiety thinking about it. To be honest with you,
I wish I could remember my first time. I love it. I really appreciate the honesty.
That's funny.
Someone said that. Marissa said that in the comments. It's hilarious.
I remember getting my card for the first time though. That was an
What
experience.
was that like?
I forgot where I went though. It was like somewhere in Detroit or like on Utica. I got it from like different places, different times. First couple times, and the first time I got it, I remember.
That's a good question. When was your first dispensary experience? We're just talking about our first dispensary. Let us know in the comments your first dispensary experience, and we'll talk about them. So go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry. I just realized we were just talking about our first dispensary experience. I didn't put the comment up.
Oh, nice, nice. No, I was saying, I remember going through the process, and the guy who was signing my paperwork, and it was like, we were going through like, why do you want to get it? What are your ailments? Why do you think it's gonna help you? Yeah, because it was like it felt like very strict at first compared to what it was 5 years later. You know what I'm saying? Like how more easy of a process it was. And when I got it, he was like, just make sure I don't see you at court. I was like,
Damn.
all right. He's like, make sure you just follow everything.
Really?
By the things? Yeah. He's like, because I won't back it. I was like, whoa. It was a shady.
But I mean, they were some. I mean,
But there were
I don't
so
think it
many
was the
doctors doing that,
second
but they
time
were
I did it.
advertising
They
everywhere
used
though.
to-
So I was like,
remember
all
the
right.
doctors that would rent out an area for just like a couple
And I think that's what it was.
hours, and it was like they would like bring you. I remember one of the times I went, they'd batch do them. You'd go in there with like I think it was like 15, 20 people. They'd all have us all sign it at once. They pretty just walk around and just stamp and collect, take the money. It was super shady back in the day.
Yeah.
That was one of my first card experiences. I was working at Google in Ann Arbor, and I think it was like Green Door had doctor days where they had a doctor come up. There'd be 5-6 people. You all went upstairs. You all filled out your paperwork together. You gave them your money together. You know, you had the conversation because it had to relate to something physical. So it was like,
And mine was for my stomach too, so that's probably why he said that, because I didn't have like all the stuff that I had. I just like, honestly, I've been taking pills.
I mean,
and
back in the day, they want you to have some very.
they did, and
serious
that's why he was so
element.
strict on it. And I was like,
I wonder what made it shift so much to easier. You know, just the fact that it started being like, hey, you can do anxiety. And then, like, once it was anxiety, and then back pain.
well, I just think you started seeing like truly what it did once
Right.
more access of
That's
cannabis was accessible. Like you probably saw family members starting to use it or try it because they had the option instead of taking
there was more
pharmaceuticals
research being done too.
or research. Like
right.
as that happens, and plus like we weren't the first state to go medical. I think Cali did it in 96 or 97, like late 90s or something like
somewhere in
that.
there.
Had to be.
Maybe even
Colorado was a few years
2000.
behind them.
Yeah, and then you started seeing the research from there, and then boom, like, and it wasn't like I feel like the industry, there was not much of an industry. It was just pretty much like a black market.
Dude,
Like,
it
that's
was so unregulated still. It was pretty much just like, hey, caregivers, you can open up a shop, but good luck with the cops. Like,
No,
that's
technically
pretty much
all
all it was back then. 'Cause
Yeah.
there was no protection.
Not at all.
There was nothing. I mean,
No,
I
not
think until you saw Detroit and, like, let's all be real. I mean, there was rumors of cops getting paid off. I don't know how Dispo started to open up an 8 Mile. But once they started open an 8 Mile, was that 2015? That's when shit was just, like, wild. But
well, it was
before
like
then,
every other
even-
building.
but I'm
There
saying
was a
before-
green sign. It was like,
But
cannabis,
before then,
cannabis,
dude, it was
cannabis.
really shady to even own a dispo. Like, even, I mean, you even right up until you got your raid in 2015, it was shady even till then. I mean, obviously, but you had a rough area, but because you was, you know, an area that doesn't like cannabis even to the day.
Well, it's not a rough area of Shelby Township. That's
No,
not
I
a
mean like
area.
rough area for cannabis. Like,
Correct.
not
Yeah.
like-
Even through like 2018, maybe even like there were still a lot of sketchy dispos on 8 Mile, and they were popping up and going down. And
Well, because I don't think they passed the medical license until like 18,
No,
17,
I think
18,
so.
right around no, 18 we went adult use, I think.
AU was
And then
17,
like
18.
16 was when we went medical, because I remember right after the raid, they officially announced that they were licensed. And that was the whole thing in the case. You couldn't operate in the city. They had an ordinance against it. So everything was
Crazy.
completely couldn't do. Unfortunately.
But like even that change in the last 5-10 years has been so drastic with normalization and
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's
Well,
a
and
good
it's
point.
so
Ron
common,
brings
too.
up that they were technically compassion collectives. They were compassion clubs right back then. That's right. Because I had a card. I had a card with like a member number on it. Oh, I wish I could find that. I bet you. I remember because I actually
They
did
did have
save
some.
one of the dispos. I wonder if I still have it in this box. Oh, I'd go look right now if we were in live.
Oh, I
Yeah,
remember
because they
I
weren't
remember
allowed
my
to say-
favorite
Shit, I
dispo back
still
in the
wanna
day. Remember Helping Hands? That was
Yeah.
that
they
was
weren't
my
allowed
spot.
to say cost, they had to say donation.
Yup, that was one of my favorite spots, man.
I
Back in
think
the
I'm gonna go
day.
see if I can find that card.
Recommended donation was how they would instead of
Next
price,
time.
recommended donation.
If I find it, I'll bring it on next time.
It's true.
And that's what kept them from getting raided until they got raided.
Yeah, everyone was. It was just I just remember it going there. They always had some good product too back
Right,
in the
it's
day.
true.
But man, you can just go. You can talk cannabis, going back and just talking stories and talking about all of it. It's just so fun, reminiscing on it, like
True. I mean that, but it's
and how much
changed
it's
so
changed.
much,
Yeah, and how much
dude.
the industry's changing.
I mean, that's actually this was a really fun conversation. Like I really didn't. We went deeper than I expected, but because it's how much it's changed. I mean, you're only 1 decade older than us, and perspective is like you didn't even grow up with concentrates. You know, concentrates was like decade after you started smoking bud. You know, I mean, it was a year or two after I started smoking bud.
Yeah, I mean, 10, 15 years, give or take, of
Yeah.
just flower for me. Like, and even edibles when I started, like, it was people literally just throwing weed in brownies. Like, no one knew about infusing butter the proper ways. No one knew, like, you couldn't buy distillate to make whatever. So everything tasted like garbage. And
True.
that affected a whole generation of people.
Mm-hmm. It did. It's
Yeah. It's crazy.
And you're seeing some of the ramifications because I love catching like cats older than me in the dispensaries, and you talk to them about edibles, and they're like, no, I had brownies back in the day, and then I show them the cream pies. Then I'll show them the oatmeal, the chocolate chip cream pies, like this is not any baked good you've ever had.
On a scale to S the sheesh,
Thanks.
how is that McFly rosin? Dude, fire. Tasted amazing. Like,
who is it?
Sean asked that in the comments. But to be honest, like, it really was how fire that rosin was.
Dude, it was tasty. It had like I'm telling you, it had a lemonine
I just like,
with
tell you,
like
man, when
an
that smell matches the
orange
taste, I'm a big fan.
crush
And
pop
really nice
type
high to
of
go with it. Like,
Yeah.
taste.
chill.
Very tasty.
Yeah, I dig it. Yeah, thank you. Whoever processed it does it right.
I'm excited to see the
Rosin's
flowers,
hard
though.
to get to that nice whipped form, and like I said, I've seen Black Market. Actually, shout out Akashic because that's who I'm wearing. Akashic Farms, they're caregiver market, but like fire rosin. But you don't. Not. It's really hard. Again, it's not even about where you're at in the market. It's hard to find someone who processes right. So shout out Canny Boys.
quality product,
Right on.
quality science, quality
goes
like
in,
Ronnie,
comes
John, Sean, who I just met today, like they're sharpening their sword every day. They're getting better every
Yeah,
day.
So you got to do it.
And that's why we haven't put out rosin yet, because it hasn't been to that standard. Like, they would not have given me this to bring tonight if it was not up to QC.
Right. Right. Exactly.
So that's how you say, hopefully within a couple months it'll be available because they let me
That'd be
bring it
dope.
here.
That'd be dope.
Honestly, hey, appreciate everyone stuck around. We're 10 minutes past over our time. I didn't
There's
realize
also
that.
2 other things we wanted to talk about that are coming to market real quick.
Yeah, you can drop
Oh
it real
yeah,
quick.
yeah. Shit.
Real quick, sorry.
Yep,
Go
drop
ahead,
it.
definitely.
So we've got 0.5 gram rosin carts.
That was
You have
tasty.
yours, right? You have yours.
This is the fruity cakes. And then 2 gram
Trees.
distillate disposables. Watermelon Skittles was the one that we had tonight. These should be coming to market within the next, hopefully, couple months. Because obviously these had to have come back from testing.
The hash rosin, I like the hash rosin. The hash rosin was tasting pretty good, man.
I've had solventless that didn't taste solventless with cards, and just the fact that this tastes like rosin, I'm just so happy. Like the high is good, the
Check,
hit is
check.
good, the flavor's there. Like it's everything I want.
Yeah, really appreciate you coming on, Andy, and just kind of having fun talking about our generational, and like we connected at our event, and like we had a good time like hanging out and getting to know each other, and I think we were just like, hey, you should come on one of our Terp Talks and just have fun. So this was really fun to just kind of talk.
Anytime I'm
fun.
in
Yeah,
town, anytime we
appreciate it,
can make
man.
it happen, dude, I'm down.
We'll have you
Yeah, I
on
know.
again, man. We appreciate it.
I know Kilo will have me back.
Yeah, he hasn't moved.
Yeah,
He's just been enjoying
He ain't
life,
moving. He ain't moving
loving
at
that
all.
life.
Oh, also, we got an episode coming out tomorrow. It drops at 4:20 Eastern. We review Alpha Buds Cake Pop, and we get into some cannabis news around the United States and then outside of the United States as well. So check that out. It's at 4:20 Eastern. It's on all your streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, wherever you listen to your music. Hit that subscribe button. Get our weekly episodes. And then we'll be going live this Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. As always, wake up and bake up with us. And you guys all have a great week. Thanks again, Andy.
Chat on Saturday morning.
We appreciate you, man.
No, definitely.
Much love, fam.
No, definitely.
And appreciate everyone commenting and watching tonight. So thank you. Y'all have a great week. And as always, Groovee, we're here to
Advocate
educate.
and inspire.
Until next time, y'all. Peace.
Peace.